Welcome to The Lift. All this week we're talking about James chapter 2 and how being rooted in faith means that our lives will reflect what it is that we're rooted in. In James chapter 2, James brings up a story from the father of our faith, Abraham, and it happened all the way back in the very first book of the Bible, Genesis. What's going on here is that Abraham and his wife Sarah have been promised a son, and it took a long time for God to fulfill that promise, but finally Sarah has a son and they name him Isaac. And Isaac is Abraham and Sarah's pride and joy. So what's going on here is that Abraham and Sarah, they're so happy with their son, everything is going great, and then God comes to Abraham and God says to Abraham, "Abraham, I need you to do something for me." And Abraham says, "Of course, whatever it is, whatever you ask, God, look at what you've done for me. You've blessed me. You gave me Isaac." And God kind of pulls him aside and says, "Okay, well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to talk to you about Isaac because, you see, I need you to take him up on a mountain." And Abraham's like, "Oh, okay." I can imagine just this conversation. Abraham's like, "Oh, okay, we'll take him up on the mountain and show him all the scenery and show him everything that you've created and we'll worship you there, God. That's what you want me to do, right?" And God kind of looks back at Abraham and he says, "No, Abraham, that's not what I want you to do. I want you to take Isaac, this son that you've waited a long time for, this fulfillment of my promise, the beginning of your nations. I want you to take him up on the mountain. And when you take him up on the mountain, you're going to make a sacrifice." And Abraham at this point, he's starting to get a little leery, but I think at this point, Abraham's still with God. He's like, "Okay, yeah, we'll make a sacrifice, and that'll cost me a little bit of money, but it's okay because we'll worship you there on the mountain. We'll take care of it." And God looks at Abraham and says, "No, I don't want you and Isaac to make a sacrifice. I want you to make a sacrifice, and I want you to sacrifice Isaac." And at this point, I can think that in Abraham's mind, he's thinking, "Well, God, that's my son, and you gave him to me. He's the fulfillment of your promise, and you want me to walk him up on a mountain, and you want me to sacrifice him." What that would mean is that Abraham would tie his son to an altar and stab him. But Abraham talks to God and he says, "Okay, that's what we're going to do." But the piece of faith that happens at that point, but also as they're walking up the mountain. We see this amazing showing of Abraham's faith. Abraham and Isaac are walking up the mountain and they have everything that they need to build the altar to make a sacrifice. But as Abraham and Isaac are walking up the mountain, Isaac looks at his dad and he says, "Dad, we've got everything that we need, but we don't have any animal, we don't have a lamb for the sacrifice." And Abraham looks at his son, and I can imagine what's going through Abraham's mind, but he looks at Isaac and he says, "It's okay because God will provide the lamb." Abraham's faith was so great that he's walking with his son up a mountain to sacrifice his son. And he says, "Don't worry about that because God will provide the lamb." Here's what Abraham knew. God was going to take care of that situation no matter which way it turned out. If Abraham had to sacrifice Isaac, Abraham was still going to be okay because he had God. So Abraham, they get to the top of the mountain and they build the altar, and then Abraham lays his son down on the altar, and Abraham raises up the knife to sacrifice his son, and then God steps in and he says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, stop. I see now that you won't hold anything back from me. Look over in the bushes, there's a sheep and its horns are caught in the bush. Sacrifice that instead." Abraham's faith was so great that he was ready to sacrifice the thing that he loved most for the thing that mattered most. Is your life that way? Can you take whatever it is that you love the most and give it up for the thing that matters most? Can you give it up for God? Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son because he knew that what he loved the most isn't what mattered the most. And in our lives, it can be all sorts of things. If you will take whatever it is that you love the most and give it up for what matters most, then your faith will grow. And when your faith grows, then your life will reflect that your faith has grown. And your roots will grow deeper and deeper into God, not the things that you might love, but the things that truly matter. And you will be rooted and ready to stand up when everything looks like it's falling apart. This is The Lift.
Hey guys, this is Derek with your workout tip for the day. Just wanting to let you guys know who are beginning to start workout routines that it's important when you choose a workout routine, whether it's cardio or weightlifting or whatever choice you might make sure it's something that you enjoy and that you can do for fun on a regular basis. This shouldn't be a chore. This shouldn't be something that stresses you out. It should be something that you can really take part in, that you look forward to each day. Even on the days when it's difficult, there is some aspect of it that you can really enjoy. So when you're making your decisions, make sure that it's something that you feel like you're really taking part in for the benefit of your health. Remember, strength is more than muscles. This is Derek Sword. This is The Lift.